There we go. One more. Teresa! I'm having a little bit of sustenance while we're here. I took a 30-minute break. Not a 30-minute, 3-minute break. Where are you at? Teresa! God, you have all the years.
Sorry.
Okay, it's me. I'm running behind. And then just for like mental reasons, I had to like take and calm myself down and I had to eat like 3 bites of sugar. So I'm sorry.
Oh
That
my
way it keeps me
goodness.
up.
Please, no worries at all. It is so nice to meet you. I
Oh,
follow you on podcasts. I'm a big fan.
stop.
This is
Stop.
unreal. This is unreal. So it's
Oh,
very cool to meet you.
oh my God, it's so cool to meet you too. I love you. Oh, hold on. Stay with me. I don't know if I have them here. Hang on. Ugh. Ugh, my hips. I sit Indian. Well, we don't call it Indian style anymore. Cross-legged everywhere I go. So then I get up and I'm an old person. Hold on.
Oh, I know that feeling. Trust me.
Uh-huh. Maybe I don't have them in here. Maybe my husband took them out. I had my Mickey Mouse ears in here from when I
Oh,
went to Disney World, and I was going to put them on just for this in honor of your wall behind you. But apparently, they're in my other room. So
that's okay. I appreciate it though. Thank you.
anytime. So I love your glasses.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for being here. And I am just going to shut up for 2 seconds.
Okay.
You have such a lovely energy. My last client was amazing, but she's great. She's like talking to a wall. Even though the
Oh.
session was wonderful. No, there's just some people that have a
Hmm.
lot of Taurus in them, and that's it, the whole thing. And so you have this flow feeling about you, which is good. Um, Hold on. But her session was wonderful. It's just an interesting, different feeling. Hang on. I wonder if that's you. No, maybe. I'm trying to figure out who this is. And it's going for one of my clients today, but I don't know who it is yet. And it's just asking. You are not, nope, you're not. I'm going to ask you it anyways. So you are not the feather collector, correct?
No, ma'am.
Absolutely. See, yeah. So today I was outside. I always get these stupid, not stupid, but interesting signs for people. And so today I was outside. I just opened my front door, and I went to go turn around to close it, and there was a feather stuck in the door. And maybe I lost it. No, it's in here somewhere. But essentially, it's somewhere in my pockets. But that goes for somebody that collects feathers. I just don't know who it is yet. So
Cool.
hold on. Where are you? So you know how I do this, obviously. So I don't have to go through everything. Hang on. Where? Somebody just told me, I guess that you what? Somebody says, get this girl out in nature. And I said, what are you talking about? For me, that means like you need a vacation, which is good. And they're talking about how, why? So you're able to work from home?
Yes.
Cool. Okay. I said, well, where is she at? I said, is she in an office all day? Is this an office or like, what is this? And they go, oh, she has the ability to work from home. I said, well, that's really convenient. I said, that's great. And they're talking about how, tell me, who is that? Do you have a brother? There's a brother?
No, I don't have a brother.
Weird, interesting. Somebody is talking about who is like, I wonder if they're talking about, no, it's not a partner though. Hold on. They keep showing me an image of you, and I know you don't. Just to confirm, you do not have any small kids right now though, correct?
I have 2 kids.
That those are your two, but they're like what, like 10, 12, like getting up there?
You just like kind of nailed it. So my daughter's almost 10 and my son is 12. He'll be 13 in the summer.
Yeah. So that's because they go like this. I said, "Are those small though?" And they go, "No, no, no, no." And they go right around your son's age. And my son just turned 12 on January 3rd. And they said about 2 years right below that. And I go, "Okay, so that's that." I wonder if they're trying to show me because they showed me an image of you picking up a daughter that is wearing a dress but still has like a diaper on. So you feel that like that. So I'm even wondering if they're trying to talk about seeing this daughter or seeing these kids when they're younger, and they're trying to like show me that, saying that they're around them or they're trying to be around them at diaper age, which depending on how you potty train, that could be anywhere between like 1 to 5.
Do you
And what?
Oh, I'm
Go
sorry.
for
I was gonna say, do you know if this person's still around my kids daily
it.
or tries to be?
Mm, hold on. I would have to say yes, just because, and I quote, they go, "What do you mean tries to be? They emulate me." Or like they're trying to be like I think this is a man because it's very like that type of energy, and which is good. And I would even say, tell me, very, very, very fun. Very fun in my brain. They're trying to be super cheery, very cool. Like they're trying to be, hold on. Hold on. Did this Joe person not meet your daughter?
How do you know that, Amy?
Because he's talking about to somebody. What do you mean? How do I know that? This is what I do. I channel.
Amy, I was 6 months pregnant with her when he passed.
All right, he goes. I
Okay.
literally do get this excited. So he
Oh
he
my
goes like, I know. He goes like this. He says, "What do you mean? What do you mean? I've been around like since they were born." And I said, "Oh." And he says, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." He says, "The boy, like I know." And he says, "But the girl," he says, "Man, I was throwing her up in the air and catching her even before she came out." And so
God.
he's talking about how he's playing with her in heaven before he gives her to you.
Oh my God. I was 6.5 months pregnant and just quick backstory. Part of why I reached out to you.
Mhm.
He had cancer, but he didn't die from cancer. And
Don't tell me what it was. I'll tell you what it is in a second. So go ahead, keep
okay.
going.
Long story short, plug had to be pulled. I was pregnant and I was commuting from where he was to I'm out of state to where I was with my dad because I was pregnant.
Mhm.
And the day that they pulled the plug, my mom, I didn't find this out till afterwards. She asked that they do it without me there because she was worried I'd have
Oh,
complications with the baby because I was so heartbroken. And I've had so much guilt that I wasn't there when they pulled the plug. And my biggest regret in life, I know that it's my grandfather. He saw my son. He never
yeah.
got to see my daughter. And I wonder every day of my life, like that sadness that he doesn't get to see her and because her personality, he would just adore. That
Uh-huh.
is wild.
Uh-huh. Yeah, he loves her. He's very much around. At first he kept calling himself Pop Pop or like Grandpop. And yeah, he says I'm a great Pop Pop. And I go, "Oh, really?" He says, "Yeah." Why? Are you okay?
Oh my I went into this not having any expectations and you're blowing my mind. Oh my God. I've never met with a
He
medium.
is.
This is wild, Amy.
Isn't it weird?
It
Isn't
is
it fun?
crazy.
Mhm.
Oh my
I
God.
know. I
Oh
know. Is
my
that what we called him? Or
Yeah.
what is that about?
So he called himself Pop Pop. I always called him Grandpop, but he cards, everything. He referred to himself as Pop Pop. And
Uh-huh.
the kids, he was Gigi Pop. Well, to Nick, my son Nick. And Nick was young when he passed, but he did meet him.
Uh-huh. Absolutely. Yeah. So this is I mean, you've watched me on podcasts, but essentially I'm zoning out all the way. I'm getting to like almost like a sleeper state where and it's hard to go back between being in that state and then conversation. So you'll have like this, or for me, there's like this awkward pause because I'm trying to shift gears, like shift drive to park. And as soon as I get in there, I know exactly what he feels like. He's very nice. He's very gregarious. Hold on. He wants to prove to you that he's around, and he's like, "Come on, come on, we can do this. We can do this together." He said, "I'll just." put it in there. So he gets in my body. He has pretty decent forearms. And he says he could fix anything, which is good. And not thoroughly though. Especially as he got a little bit older. And he says, you see these fingers? These hands are of a perfectionist. I go, oh, really? And he says, yeah, I'll leave a little mess though, too. I said, well, that's not really. So he's just, that's how he sounds. And tell me about her. And then right now, I'm not looking at anything. I'm just going back in the back of my head. But if I sit here with my eyes closed, it makes things a little bit awkward for the person. So I just look like I'm not there. Hang on. Where? And it comes in like radio signals. And you can do this too, except most of us are too busy or they don't know the language. Hang on. Get back over here. So right now there's nothing going on. I have absolutely nothing in my head and I'm waiting for him to. What are you talking about? Sophia. What? There's a reason why he did that. So now he put the show that I never watched because I was already too old. Sophia something show. It's from Disney. Sophia the First. Oh, 2012. Okay. Is anybody a November birthday?
Not in my immediate family, like my dad is, but
Oh.
okay, so my son was born in 2012, but
Ah.
my daughter, when she was little, used to watch that show on Disney.
Really? Okay. I didn't even know it was still out. Okay, so Sophia the First, and then it came out November 18th of 2012. And so there's always something with this. So he's trying to tell me, because my son was born in 2013. So he's trying to talk about your son's birth year. He's trying to talk about what she watched. Okay, so he was around her watching that. And then I bet there's another spirit trying to come in to talk about your dad or talk, essentially with your dad. And so they're talking about the month of November to try to recognize and say, like, I know about this. It could also, hold on. Hang on. Hold on. Weird. Did like Joe not particularly care for what your dad had to say ever? Or did he like not particularly care for him? I mean, he was kind of like neutral, but like they weren't really good friends or anything, right?
No, I mean, I only know my dad's side of it, and my dad was like, I respected him because he was your dad's or your mother's father, but there wasn't a close bond between them.
Oh, okay. Because your grandfather, I said, so what do you think about dad? I said, do you want to reach out to him? Because a lot of times that means that he wants to say hi. And he goes, ah, I'll keep my
No,
distance.
that
He's
makes
like,
sense. Can I ask, is there anything he may want to say to my mom?
"Mm, mm, hold on. Is there a Catherine or a Kathleen or a Kath something? Or okay, somebody just they showed me my mom's name, which is Kathy, but it's not. So it may be a C name. Oh, yours is a C name, but there's more to
My
that. Hang on.
mom's name is a C name.
Is it a C name? Okay, I'm gonna have to say that's probably it. So they're trying to bring up the next best thing. So Kathy is my mom's name with a C name. So they're trying to say mom is the same thing. And why? Who? What do you want to say? Where? Where? He's trying to talk about when he passed. He's trying to talk about when people let him go. He's trying to talk about hold on. He said he looked perfectly fine on the outside. Hold on. Hmm. Thank you for so she goes through and she was like talking and helping her mother like every day. She was trying to like really, really connect with her and help her every day.
Yeah,
Good. He just says,
technically her stepmother. that she was helping and she felt obligated because, I mean, she has other siblings, but she was doing it for my grandfather because she promised him she'd take care of her.
He goes like this. So think of like turn me into your grandfather, and he goes, and thank you for taking care of her. Thank you for doing that every day and doing. So he's like appreciating that, and was. Did we also find possibly like a blood clot in like your grandfather's like leg, or did he suffer from like pressure stuff or like weird, I don't know, what do they
No,
call that?
my mom had blood clots when she was really young.
She had blood, she had that age.
Yeah, so when I was a little like kindergarten, I think my sister was just born. My mom had a blood clot. She was like in her early 20s that she suffered that.
My god, yeah, somebody's talking about blood clot. Do we know it went up from her leg? Like did it like dislodge from like up there, or what was that? That's the only
It
place I
was
know
in
they,
her
I guess.
leg, but I don't know further than that, but I know like she needed help because we were little at the time and my dad was in the service.
Oh, he was. Oh, we're going to talk about that too. That's who's been following me around. We'll talk about that as well. Let me see if I can. Oh, was he dealing? No. Was he around like the B-2 bomber planes?
No, I mean that I don't know. My dad was a Marine.
Okay, okay. No. Somebody was talking about, I wonder if I want you to ask, um do you know if they were ever stationed down in Southern California? I don't know where all the Marines bases are. Is that a
Yes.
thing? They were. Okay. Because somebody, that's where a lot of the B-2 bombers take off of. And earlier today, and the blood clot thing is the reason why he brought that up is because it's something that nobody would know about your mom. And so he's bringing up, something that was traumatic, something that was crazy, and something that he went through and, or saw. Hang on. I'm going to show you the reason. Where's it at? No, it's Ed. Saw Micah. Hang on. Where is it at? So I had my spirit box on today. This is
Mhm.
B-2. And
Okay.
those are B-2 bombers. And then somebody started talking about the military, and somebody started talking about where this person was stationed and all that jazz. And so I think your grandfather is trying to come around and talk about his life and like prep for what we were going to talk about essentially.
Are you
And
can
one,
outside of my grandfather, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Is there another spirit coming in that's not the grandfather we've been talking about by
hang on.
chance?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Especially if we were trying to talk about your dad. It could be one of his family members. It could be that there's also a weird. Who is that? A step over. Maybe there's like an uncle type of thing as well. But I know that your mom doesn't have a brother that's dead. I
Mhm.
know that your dad doesn't have a brother that's dead. So maybe it could go along with like a great uncle, but I don't think you're close to any of them. That's why. There's another masculine figure that is also here. Um, hang on. It just said he knows you. Hang on. Now I'm feeling around. So essentially, I want you to think of when you channel, you're tuning into their vibration. So like their channel, their like radio station. And then what I'm doing is I'm feeling around the different channels to see if I can find something. Hang on. Hold on. Hang on. Tremors. Tremors. Hang on. Uh somebody is bringing up shakes. Hang on. Saw this weird light thing right there. I'll have to look back at the tape. Hang on.
Can this person tell you, by chance, when was the last time they saw me?
Mm, hang on. I'm gonna go, usually it's by what you look like, and then they're comparing it to my age. Hold on. Weird. It had to be at least 10 years ago. I can tell you that. Hang on. Maybe you were. So you just flashed me an image of when I got married to my ex-husband. So maybe they were actually able to see you back when you were like, I don't know, 18 to like 22, maybe something
Hmm.
around there.
Yeah, that one, I was thinking of somebody else, but I was younger when that person passed, so I'm not
Okay.
sure.
Yeah, somebody just showed me, so when I met my ex-husband when I was 18, and then I got married when I was 21, like the next month I was 22. So that's where I'm going with that. I don't know. I don't feel any females here. I don't feel a single female at all. Now that doesn't mean that they're not here. That just means that I have to adjust my channel and find them. But there's definitely, hang on. Go over here, Joe. Show me that. Can you? What is that? Where was this at? Weird. Was somebody living in Massachusetts?
No.
Okay. Somebody just said masshole, which is Massachusetts. That's what they call them.
Right.
Or like that's what they call themselves. And so I'm gonna write that down.
Okay.
Because it could be that that's somebody else. Like I'm kind of just feeling around. Hang
Hmm.
on. Tell me. Hang on. Go back over here. What? Why? Okay, I'm gonna go back over here and focus. Hmm. What does that mean? Weird. Random question. Like, does your kitchen, do you not have an island in the middle? Does it just like wrap around?
No, we just redid our kitchen.
You did. Okay. And so you got the island that you wanted?
Yes.
Yeah, somebody's talking about that. They have you walking around a kitchen and they go, "Oh my gosh, I don't like this," or "Oh my gosh, I wish I had this." Like there's this want and this desire. And then they're talking about making it make sense. So like adding this stuff in
Oh my
or
God. That was right
yeah.
before our reno. My husband and I were like, this kitchen is not functional. And we designed it to make it make sense because it was not a functional kitchen.
Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah. So they're talking. You have a lot of different spirits that are around. And so but
Okay.
they're all talking about that. And so they all help you. And so I would have to say that they like your renovation. And hold on. So what are you talking about with that? So do you have a dog right? I don't know if this is the cat that does this. I would have to say it's a dog. So do you have a dog right now that like sheds pretty decently?
Yes.
Okay, because they're talking about the amount of fur. I'm not saying you're dirty, but like I
No.
have a half Great Dane. Like that thing sheds like a beast. And they're talking about, oh my God, you'd find the head hair on the curtains. You'd have to vacuum the curtains. And I was like, oh my God. And so they're just like making fun of this. And tell me, hang on. So even like your master, you don't have curtains, you just have like blinds or like the thick blinds that you close?
So we have blinds with a curtain over it, but we don't typically, the dog that sheds, he primarily stays on the main floor, but it is like no
Ah.
Mageddon of fur. We have two and he's our baby and he sheds like crazy compared to the other one.
Okay, yeah, they're making fun of him, but they love him. So that's what that is. And why they almost have your house the way it's lit in my brain. And this doesn't make any sense to you, but because to me, because I see them all the time, they almost show it as though I'm looking in like a house that was made for like a television show, which is funny. So maybe they're also saying that like your life is like a sitcom in a good way with all like the little quirky things and everything that happens. And why? Hold on. make sure, and maybe you're doing this, maybe you're already doing this. Um, did you try to get your son like into soccer? Or were you trying to get him into that? But like he's not in sports right now though, correct?
Not at the moment. He's in Taekwondo, but we signed him up for football like seasonally.
Football. Oh, you do? Okay, that could be, sorry, I'm from Texas, and so they say football or like
No,
that,
that's
which is
okay.
soccer, right? And they said, but he's not in it right now. Oh my God. So my spirit box just said Sophia. So we're just talking about Sophia the first, and then it just said Sophia on here. So they're just bringing it back. Hang on. They all they're talking about with your son, um, hang on. They say he's really well balanced. They say he's very well balanced. And I don't know. I don't know if that's anger. Um, is he like getting by? I'm not a psychologist, so I
Mhm.
don't know what this means. Is he getting better with like calming his anxiety, or is that why we're like putting this in? I mean, he's not a stressed kid, or does he get like angry easily? He doesn't have anything wrong with him.
He's like my even keeled out of the two. He's
Okay.
like very
So that
easy, smooth, easygoing kid. He wears his heart on his sleeve.
Oh, okay, okay. That may be something because they go like this. They go anger, they go anxiety, like that. And I'm
Oh,
like, so are we getting it under control? Or that for me could also mean that he's level. But for me, because I look at things differently, I'm like, maybe they're evening it out. So that could be another thing too. Why? Hang on. Tell me about her. Hang on. Hang on. You can have, you're a really good mom. There. So your husband, your partner does pick up a lot of the slack though. Like he does a really good job.
mhm.
Good, good, good. I said, how is it? I said, is exhausting when she like, gets out of her job or what is this? And he goes, no, they actually work as a team. I said, well, that's good. I said, that's, rare. And he's talking about seeing how he will pick up some of the slack and vice versa. So they're talking about you not being as stressed, but you're also high energy, which is good. And they're talking about how, tell me, hang on, where? With grandfather, are they gonna put him and his like your step grandmother like buried on top of each other or one on top of another?
So Grandpop was cremated,
Uh-huh.
and he resides in my grandmother's bedroom in an urn. He was
Yeah,
scared of being buried. So
I gotcha. Do you know if they're gonna be put together like in the same urn?
I don't know. You know who is in the urn with my grandfather is his one
Who?
of his dogs. My so when he was cremated, my uncle owns a funeral home and he put some of his past dog's ashes with him so he wasn't lonely. So I don't know if maybe it's that.
That may be the one on top of the other. And the other thing is earlier, somebody was talking about, my brother's like an uncle. I said, but I don't understand this. So he could have been bringing up uncle and then dealing with death, which if uncle owns a funeral home, and in my brain, I'm reading it as there's an uncle that's dead. Like, what does that mean? But I don't feel an uncle that's dead. So
I
that
did
could.
I
Hmm,
did have an uncle that passed when I was in middle school, and I was wondering if that was him, but it wasn't really adding up. But
that,
he was somebody I've kind of always idolized and carried in my heart.
well, give me his first name only real quick. What is his first name only?
Pat.
Oh, okay, hold on. So essentially, let me just teach you about that. So what happens is I want you to think of like what your name is. When you call somebody's name, it's like you're ringing their bell. you're going, I'm connecting with you. So
Mhm.
instead of going and being like, whoever wants to come in, come in. That's essentially what you're doing. And you're feeling all the channels all at once. When you do this, you're saying, like, Pat, can you please come in and be here? Pat. And so you're focusing it all in that area. And so you only feel for that energy. And hang on, tell me where. Hmm. Okay. They would be in heaven, which is good. So there's this very where maybe very nice. So he actually like really did. Pat really did like your mom. Pat really did like your mom. They're flashing me a picture of they're playing a song that I hear online, and they're having me see or collectively see a person or a guy, and they're making me hear screams and not screams, but like ah, like that. So it's like fun and exciting, or like laughter of kids. And then they're showing an image of going up and like hugging, I guess, your mom, um, or hugging your family, which means this person wasn't just somebody for you. This person was for everybody else. Like me, I really loved my uncle, but everybody in my family hated him. And he's talking about how why hang on. So was he like, hang on, interesting. He's handing like $5, which I guess, so maybe he was just like the special uncle. I said, were you rich or was that a thing? And he says, no. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's what he got. He says, no. And he says, but I did what I did, or I did what I could. And I go, okay, well, that's good. And so he's just talking about his personality or his fun. Like that's what this is about. And so he's replaying or trying to replay people greeting him and how excited he is and how goofy he is and how fun he is essentially. And for $5 for me also symbolizes instead of giving you $100 bill, it's like, hey, go get a candy bar if you can. But then he opens his pockets and he has flies coming out of it. So that means that he wasn't rich at all. Um, but why? Hang on. Weird. Do you know if he liked to drink?
Don't remember because I was a little girl.
You were tiny.
I was. My dad has a lot of stories about him just being like he was a big guy and he was kind of the life of the party. But
Mhm.
I wonder if some of it is when I was little, we lived in New Jersey. My dad was overseas during the Gulf War.
Oh,
And my
uh-huh.
mom had to work, so we were staying at my grandparents with my mom, and my Uncle Pat used to come over and help me with my homework. And he would make me do it over and over and over until I got. And I remember at the time being in like second grade and frustrated and angry that I'd have to do it over and over till it was right. But
Yeah.
as I grew up, I just loved he wasn't a blood uncle, he was married in. So that the
Oh,
fact that he took that time and he always made me and my sister feel really special and you could
yeah.
tell like there was a love.
Yeah.
He was a really good man and it wasn't just to me, it was to other people that he was a sweetheart.
Well, and that's why when he shows going up and hugging your mom, it's like, I know that he's not necessarily connected to her, but he loves her just the same. So that may also be, FYI, we're talking about an uncle because they're not married, or they're married in. For me, sometimes that could feel like a really good friend or like a family friend because I've never felt that before. I don't know what that feeling is like personally because I don't have any of that. And so I would have to say that he doesn't seem so much of a person anymore, like grandpa. I'm gonna call him Pop Pop. But he is definitely this higher vibrational entity that kind of like looms overall or like exists overall. So he
He
would be
does come
somebody.
ar he does come around.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
That makes
Oh,
I'm happy.
absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah, both of them do. But you would experience your uncle in like a feeling like, okay, I'm oddly happy now. Why? Like that's what you would feel him as. With Pop Pop, you would be like, okay, odd. I just saw him in my head for a second. Why? Or why did I just think of him? Like it's because he's more closely attached to
Mhm,
this area because now they're both in heaven, but I think
mhm.
it's because the time that's passed.
Okay, so I
Okay.
have 2 quick questions for you because I know time is closing down. One, I have a question from my sister regarding Pop-Up.
Okay.
So when she had her baby, she wanted to know if Pop-Up was there when that happened.
About it. Well, if he was holding your child beforehand, he would absolutely be there. Hold on. Now, why did we ever get a little Joe? Did we ever get a little Joe?
No, I always joked
Why
if I
not?
had a third that it would be a Joseph, but I mean,
No, no.
it's a
Yeah,
boy. My nephew's obviously a
it
boy,
is a
but
boy.
but
Oh,
he's
it is.
not
Okay.
a Jo
Okay.
wait, his name is Logan Joseph.
Yes, that's him.
Oh my God. What I'm such a ditz.
No, you're not. No. He goes like this. He says, "Oh, he says, little Joe, little Joe, little Joe."
Oh
And I
my
go,
God.
"Oh, okay. Yeah, so he knows." Mhm.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Okay.
When he first passed, I
Yeah.
used to feel him around me, and my kids had
Hmm.
like toddler toys that I swear my grandfather would interact with me, pop up.
Yeah.
I don't feel him as much anymore. And like once in a blue moon, maybe I catch like a whiff of his cologne. And I think I just need, I guess, reassurance. I talk out loud to him more so lately than I ever have, like that
Mhm.
he hears me and that he is around. And like when you don't necessarily always get communication back, like, do you still talk and they hear?
Yeah. So you just talk mentally. You can talk out loud if you want to, but remember your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions, and your words are all vibration. They're all frequency. And so they use your brain like a computer. And so any type of feeling, they're actually not listening to your words, they're listening to the feeling behind it. So whether you say, I love you, I miss you, there's still the hmm that goes with that. So if you say that inside, you and you intensify because you're not wasting it on the breath anymore, they still feel that. The other
Okay.
thing too is that they're giving you signs and symbols everywhere. You just don't
Mhm.
realize it because you're busy.
Mhm.
And so what you have to do is instead of like, I mean, focus on what you're supposed to do, but notice when you look up randomly what you look at. Notice when you walk into the grocery store what song is playing. Notice if you ask them, be like, can you show me that you're around? Just kind of don't focus so much on one thing that you miss all the other things everywhere else. Okay. So an example for this would be, and this was why I was talking about the feather. This was probably, I don't know, when was this, August or something like that? I was pissed off. Well, I wasn't pissed, but my husband was supposed to take the dog out in the morning at that point because I did get up really early and go to a doctor's appointment. But anyways, he left because he had to go and run an errand, and so I got up. I took the dog out, and when I was there, our cleaning lady was here, but it was a new cleaning lady instead of the normal one. And when I walked out there, her car was parked directly behind my vehicle, so I
Mhm.
couldn't get out. Okay, and so when I went out there, I was like, oh my god, okay, now I'm gonna have to figure this out. All right, we're already behind schedule. And when I looked inside, everything in her car was a sunflower. Everything, every seat, it had I mean, you name it. It was so much. So I actually took a picture of this. This is on Instagram. And so I was like, all right, there's a reason for this. I don't exactly know why. My first client, her mother and father had both died in a vehicle accident fire together. And she had gotten two sunflower tattoos, one for each of them. Okay. And her mother's favorite sign was a sunflower. So essentially, it was in a car, it was all
Mhm.
that. And so instead of just looking past it, you have to like realize and like put all the things together. The other
Okay.
thing is because he's in a higher vibrational state or he's in heaven, he's not so much here in this area that we're in. He's pure love. He's like the highest level of love that you can possibly imagine. And we're not always at that level. So just because you don't feel him doesn't mean he's not there. Just because, you love your husband, you love your kids, but you're not always in that ah type of feeling. But does that mean that you don't love them?
Right.
No. Okay. So it's the same thing. So yeah, he's around you 24/7. And when you call him in, when you say, "Hey, can you please be with me?"
Mhm.
Be really like, take a second to feel like, do you get goosebumps somewhere? Do you get like a knowing? Do you see a picture? Like when you walk out the door, is there like somebody walking by that has Joseph written on the back of their sweater? Like it's all there. You just have to look
Okay.
for it. Okay. So I do have to run to my next session. Otherwise, they're going to kick my ass. But
Dang.
I want you to know that they love you. And if you ever need me again, please let me know.
I will.
And, you don't have to uh, be woo woo about it. I mean, it's all just energy
Mhm.
and it's just there. And look, you have freaking Disney behind you. So go see the magic. Okay.
Okay. Thank
And
you.
if you
You
need
are
me, let me know.
wonderful.
You're
Thank
welcome. I
you.
love
It's
you.
such a pleasure to meet you. Love you too. Thank you, Amy. Take care.